That day, I did not only lose my husband, I lost part of my heart.
We're brought together because of a mistake that I made, one that resulted in a heartbreaking and traumatic event.
And she's going to kill somebody else.
You took away my best friend.
DUI manslaughter, 3 counts.
An Orange County woman has been sentenced to 7 years in prison for causing a fatal crash in Niskayuna. Gina Hassan received her sentence in Schenectady County Court. The crash occurred at Troy-Schenectady Road and Leisha-Kill Road intersect. The other driver, 77-year-old Dennis Farrell, was killed in the accident, while his wife, Kathleen, sustained serious injuries. Emotions ran high in the courtroom as both the victim's family and the defendant's loved ones responded to the sentencing. The room was filled with family and friends holding signs of Dennis Farrell, showing their support throughout the proceedings. His wife and daughter delivered powerful and emotional impact statements, sharing memories of Dennis and describing the deep void left in their lives since his passing. Gina Hassan will serve at least 7 years in prison for driving under the influence and causing the tragic death of Dennis Farrell.
We had plans to celebrate my 10-year cancer-free anniversary on August 11th of 2021, but I was alone. Dennis was gone.
Dennis Farrell passed away 11 days after the car he was driving was hit by Gina Hassan on Troy-Schenectady Road at the intersection of Leisha-Kill Road. His wife, Kathleen, was with him in the car that tragic afternoon. She vividly described the harrowing moments before, during, and after the crash, sharing the fear and chaos they experienced.
There was just no place to go. We were trapped. I could hear her engine racing before she into us. She never even tried to brake. It was head on. It was a brutal, body-wrenching explosion.
Just moments before the fatal collision with Farrell's vehicle, Gina Hassan, who was under the influence of alcohol and Xanax, had already struck another car on Balltown Road. This behavior, combined with her prior arrest for driving while intoxicated, led the prosecution to argue that she should never be allowed to drive again.
Because as Gina Hassan is on the streets are not safe for other people to drive.
After the impact statements and words from those present, Hassan tearfully addressed the courtroom, struggling to speak through her emotions.
I have been consumed with guilt and regret. The world around me stopped when I was told of the irreversible heartbreak my actions caused.
Earlier this year, Hassan pleaded guilty and received an indeterminate sentence of 6 to 18 years for aggravated vehicular homicide, along with a 7-year sentence for assault, which will be served at the same time. Former Cuba police officer Brandon Barber was sentenced to 26 years in prison. He had been facing up to 45 years for causing a wrong-way DUI crash that killed 2 people and injured another. Still grieving nearly 2 years after their loss, the victims' families expressed their overwhelming sorrow and urged the court to impose the maximum sentence on Barber.
That day, I did not only lose my husband, I lost part of my heart.
On May 1st, 2021, off-duty Cuba police officer Brandon Barber left the Sandia Casino after drinking and driving the wrong way. His actions resulted in the deaths of 50-year-old Alfredo Escaname Hernandez and 21-year-old Diego Arellano, while another passenger was severely injured.
This has impacted us in the worst way you can imagine. Because like I said, we had a perfect world. Both of our parents, our siblings. Unfortunately, that was stripped of us. It was robbed.
Barber pleaded guilty to the charges, accepting full responsibility for his actions. His attorney stated that Barber hoped his plea would help bring some closure to the victims' families.
I know we're all here because somebody's doing the right thing. But in your heart, think about it. Are you really doing the right thing? Knowing you still have another opportunity at a second chance at life.
Before district court, Judge Stan Whitaker announced his sentence. Former Cuba police officer and National Guardsman Brandon Barber expressed his remorse.
We're brought together because of a mistake that I made, one that resulted in a heartbreaking and traumatic event. I had no intention of hurting or harming anyone. Every day and night, I pray for the victims and their family. I take full responsibility, and I bear much guilt.
Although the families were hoping for the maximum 45-year sentence, Judge Whitaker noted that the guilt Barber carries is also a form of punishment. With good behavior, Barber may serve only half of his 26-year sentence. Barber had a prior DWI in 2017 and was fired by the Cuba police just days after the crash. Dean Pacheco was arrested for DWI, violating her probation. The widow of the bicyclist Pacheco killed had a clear message for the judge: send her back to jail because enough is enough.
I don't see why I would not be successful with probation. I never had any problems. I've never really been in a whole lot of trouble. My criminal history does not stack up.
Prosecutors argued that Pacheco has a significant criminal history and consistently finds herself in trouble, supporting the call for her return to jail.
1 month after she's placed on supervised probation, she picks up new charges of aggravated DWI.
A jury found Pacheco guilty of careless driving after she swerved off the road and killed bicyclist David Anderson. Prosecutors had pushed for a vehicular homicide conviction. She served 90 days in jail and was released. She was also sentenced to 18 months of probation for breaking into a car and stealing a purse. But just a few weeks later, she was arrested again for aggravated DWI, violating her probation.
She's on for an auto burglary, but I'm asking you not to forget the vehicular homicide charge that was leveled against her. I'm asking you not to forget that.
However, Pacheco's attorney argued that prosecutors are still attempting to punish her for the fatal crash, even though she has already served time for that incident.
This is about the state feeling badly that they didn't get what they wanted in the first place, and so this is an opportunity to try to get it through a backdoor avenue.
Anderson's widow had a different message, urging the court to hold Pacheco accountable and to impose a stricter sentence, believing that justice had not yet been fully served.
I want to go to bed at night, and I want to know that she's not out there in the community defying the court again, and she's going to kill somebody else.
The judge agreed and sentenced Pacheco to 9 months in jail for the probation violation. She still faces trial for the aggravated DWI, which could add up to 3 more months to her sentence if convicted. According to police and witnesses, Pacheco was speeding and weaving through traffic before swerving off the road and killing Anderson in 2010. Pacheco maintains that someone cut her off, causing the accident. A Muskegon County man has been sentenced to up to 22 years in prison for causing a fatal motorcycle crash. Dan Nino received his sentence. Investigators reported that he was under the influence of cocaine and methamphetamine when he struck and killed Nathan Conrad. In Muskegon, 2 memorials have been set up to celebrate Nathan Conrad's life, one of which is located off Apple Avenue.
Look at it, I sit here and think about him and think about all the memories we made. We're never gonna ride together again.
The other memorial is just a few blocks away at the home of his wife, Mary.
This is where he would come and decompress at the end of the day. After work, he would come out here and he would sit.
Nathan's favorite chair has been turned into a memorial, draped with a t-shirt bearing his name. Above it, hang the clothes he was wearing on the night he was killed.
And then all of his gear he had on, his gloves, his riding shoes, his leather, all of his pants, socks, everything's right here, and then I have some of his ashes here.
These are photos from the scene of the crash in November 2023 that claimed Nathan's life. A pickup truck driven by Dan Nino Sr. crossed the center line and struck Nathan's motorcycle. After pleading no contest to felony charges, including negligent homicide, causing death, and driving under the influence, Nino was sentenced to 9 to 22 years in prison. Mary, Nathan's wife, was in court for the sentencing. They had been waiting over 8 months for justice.
It was good to be able to express what we feel and what we've dealt with for the last 8.5 months. But it was extremely tough just sitting there and having to see him with no reaction on his face.
To honor his legacy, Mary says she will continue to live the way her beloved husband did.
Teach my daughter about the type of person my husband was, and I will never let his name be forgotten. Nathan was an amazing man. Nathan is an amazing man. His charisma, his energy, his godliness, I will continue to live that way and teach everybody about him. I will never let his name be unheard.
The sentencing followed months of delays in court. Although the incident occurred in November, it wasn't until quite later that Nino pleaded no contest. He was also charged with 2 counts of driving with a suspended license. Nearly 2 months after a horrific DUI crash in Miami that killed 3 people, the man responsible is now in custody. Investigators say he drove nearly twice the speed limit on his way to a club. According to the police report, the suspect attempted to pass 2 slower-moving vehicles when the crash occurred. The report states he was traveling at 78 miles per hour in a 40 miles per hour zone on West Flagler Street. Miami police have described this as a particularly troubling case.
Sir, you were arrested for DUI manslaughter, 3 counts.
These are some of the charges against 26-year-old Erwin Resinka Suniga, who police say was driving drunk and caused the deaths of 3 people 6 weeks ago.
We haven't had a case such as this in a while.
Police report that a friend told them Erwin Resinka Suniga had consumed 5 to 6 shots of whiskey before attempting to drive his friends to a club. They never made it there.
We're drinking from midnight until 2:50 in the morning when he made the decision to get in the car with his passengers and drive to a club.
According to the police, just after 3 a.m. on February 13th, the suspect's speeding red car crashed on West Flagler Street at 48th Avenue, right next to a Chevron gas station.
He was under the influence of alcohol, which may have been the contributor to this crash. He was driving at a high rate of speed. That too plays a big role.
Police revealed that an electronic data recorder showed the suspect was driving 78 miles per hour in a 40 mile per hour zone. In court, the defense attorney argued that he was not the driver, but the prosecutor countered that a detective had confirmed he was. The circuit judge found probable cause and set the bond at $105,000, along with an order prohibiting him from driving.
It's a very unfortunate situation, and the message that we always want to reiterate to drivers: if you've had one drink too many, make sure to hand off your keys or just be responsible.
He will now be required to surrender his passport and faces additional charges, including 3 counts of vehicular homicide. Records indicate that he has no prior arrests. A woman charged in a DWI crash that killed a retired Converse assistant police chief was sentenced in court. Jean-Nicole Coutros received a 10-year sentence as part of a plea deal.
You took away my best friend.
A letter written by Rex Reiner's wife, Linda, was read aloud in court by their son, John Reiner. The letter described Rex's life as a dedicated family man, his long career in law enforcement, and his years of service to the community, all directed at Jean-Nicole Coutros. In March 2020, Coutros was seen driving erratically on De Zavala Road, and a San Antonio Police Department officer tried to pull her over. However, she evaded arrest, veered into oncoming traffic, and collided with the vehicle Rex was in. During the victim impact statement, Rex's daughter-in-law broke down in tears as she spoke about having to tell her daughter that her grandpa had passed away. Now, the child also has something she wants to say.
At 7 years old, wants you to know that you broke her heart, and that her heart breaks every day because he doesn't get to be here with her anymore.
Others who spoke included former Converse Police Chief Rick Jameson and Converse Mayor Al Suarez.
Today is all about accountability, about your accountability for your actions, your choices. This was no accident, this was choices. My hope is that you serve the entire maximum time.
As part of the plea deal, the evading arrest charge was dropped, resulting in a 10-year sentence for intoxication manslaughter. Jean-Nicole Coutros will have to serve at least half of her sentence before becoming eligible for parole. State lawmakers toughened the penalties for drunk drivers who cause fatalities. However, one of the first cases under the new law resulted in a relatively lenient sentence. Student Luke Griffin was sentenced for causing a woman's death in a crash. Although he had been facing up to 21 years, he received just 9 years, and with good behavior, he could have been released in half that time.
I am extremely sorry for my actions. There's no words that I can say that will bring anyone back or will ease the pain.
Griffin pleaded guilty to killing Karina Vaden from Colorado in a crash near San Felipe. 2 of Vaden's passengers were also severely injured. Investigators reported that Griffin was driving over 100 miles per hour when he rear-ended Vaden's car. The 18-year-old had a blood alcohol level 3 times the legal limit. Although Griffin initially faced up to 21 years in prison, his sentence was reduced to just 9 years under a plea agreement. Barbara Romo, the deputy district attorney for Sandoval County, explained that since New Mexico does not have mandatory prison time for vehicular homicide, this plea deal was the only way to ensure Griffin would serve time behind bars.
I have to look at what I think is the best outcome, the best for sure outcome, given what I know and what I know that could happen at trial.
A new state law passed in 2016 increased DWI vehicular homicide penalties from 6 to 15 years in prison. Representative Sarah Maestas Barnes, who sponsored the bill, believes that sentences like Griffin's undermine the purpose of the new law.
I think it sends a horrible message. I think New Mexico needs to be a leader as it relates to DWI, and we need to send a strong message across the board that DWI is not tolerated in this state.
While out on bond, Griffin was monitored by GPS, but court documents reveal that he did not comply with the conditions, testing positive for cocaine and alcohol. As mentioned, with good behavior, Griffin could serve only half of his 9-year sentence, as deadly DWI crashes are classified as nonviolent crimes. The family made heartbreaking statements of a couple killed in a Fresno County crash. They spoke during a court hearing for the suspected drunk driver accused of crashing his truck into the victim's car over the weekend. Paul and Mary Hardin had just moved to Fresno from Texas to serve as full-time missionaries. It's uncommon for family members to speak at arraignment, but the judge made an exception, allowing the Hardins' relatives to address the court since they live out of state. It was an emotional hearing, with the family expressing forgiveness and a plea for the maximum punishment to prevent other families from enduring the same pain. 54-year-old David Alvarado, the suspect, wiped away tears as the Hardins family spoke about the devastating loss of their loved ones.
Currently, there are 11 children who are now without parents. There are 4 sisters and 2 brothers without a beloved sister, as well as Paul's family.
Authorities report that Alvarado was speeding when he crashed his pickup truck into the Hardins' car and another vehicle, resulting in the untimely demise of the couple. At the time, they were stopped at a traffic light on Highway 41 and Manning Avenue.
I'm supposed to be in Utah attending my granddaughter's dance recital. Instead, I will be attending a funeral service for my sister and her husband, my brother-in-law Paul.
Alvarado was restrained in shackles during his arraignment. He faces 8 charges, including 2 counts of murder and 2 counts of gross vehicular manslaughter while impaired, with prior convictions. Prosecutors revealed that he had been convicted of driving under the influence 6 times between 1997 and 2021. Despite this, the Hardins family members have shown compassion.
I feel like it would be my wish for my parents that he gets to feel love, that he gets to feel forgiveness.
However, they are also asking for the maximum punishment to ensure the safety of others on the road.
I never want to have another family experience what we are experiencing right now, the grief and sorrow that has been caused by the cruel and careless choices of someone else.
If found guilty, Alvarado could face up to 30 years in prison. The judge has set his bail at $2.7 million. As the pursuit of justice continues, the victims' family members are dedicated to preserving Paul and Mary's legacy of service and kindness.
There are thousands of people who are mourning their loss at this time. They came to serve here as missionaries, and they have ministered and served many people in this area, and they will be greatly missed.
David Alvarado is scheduled to return to court on June 6th. Tonight, the Hardin family will host a funeral service in Carruthers to lay Paul and Mary to rest. Kalia Manning, the aunt accused of causing a DUI crash that killed 2, appeared before a judge for the first time. Manning, who is the aunt of the victims, was wheeled into the courtroom as her lawyer explained the events leading to the accident. Her sister, who was also involved in the crash, remains in the hospital. The lawyer, who was retained to represent both women, is waiting for more information, including the status of their bail agreement, which was decided over the weekend. He plans to fight for their release, arguing that they do not have an extensive criminal history, have lived in the area their entire lives, and are grieving the loss of the 2 young girls. To recap, police say Manning had a blood alcohol level of 0.19 when she missed a turn and hit a palm tree. The lawyer emphasized that much information has yet to come out and urged people not to rush to judgment.
So we need to withhold judgment until all of the evidence is in, until the investigation is complete. The family's bereaving. They still have to these 2 children.
Both women face multiple charges and are scheduled to return to court. Witnesses are testifying at the sentencing hearing for a man convicted in a 2021 road rage killing. Investigators say the victim, Kevin Kirk, had just picked up dinner for his family when a group of men on ATVs surrounded his car on Westheimer. Lazarus Harper was found guilty of manslaughter. Just moments ago, there was an outburst in the courtroom from one of Harper's defense attorneys.
First, Maria, why don't you ask them the truth first? Get the jury out. All right, brother Jim. You know what? Don't you ever raise your voice in this court again.
The cause of the disagreement is unclear, but the jury was swiftly escorted out of the courtroom. The judge reprimanded the attorney for the outburst. In 2007, in Cass County, a killer ended the lives of Kara Kopetsky and Jessica Runyons. It's crucial to consider everyone's viewpoint before making any decisions, and the same rule applies to the jury.
Mr. Utes, if you'll stand before me. On verdict form C, as to the count 1, we the jury find the defendant, Kyler Utes, guilty of voluntary manslaughter as submitted in instruction number 15, signed by the foreperson. In verdict form G, as to count 2, we the jury find the defendant, Kyler Utes, guilty of murder in the second degree as submitted in instruction number 22. In this case, you wish the jury to be polled now? All right. Ladies and gentlemen, what we have to do now is doing a poll of the jury in this matter. If you want to go sit down, you can do that. I need to poll each of the jury members to find out if this was your verdict. Juror number 1, is this your verdict?
Yes.
Juror number 2, is this your verdict? Juror number 3, is this your verdict? Juror number 4, is this your verdict? Juror number 5, is this your verdict? Juror number 6, is this your verdict? Juror number 7, is this your verdict? Juror number 8, is this your verdict? Juror number 9, is this your verdict? Juror number 10, is this your verdict? Juror number 11, is this your verdict? Juror number 12, is this your verdict? All right.
Of course, reviewed the sentencing assessment report that was provided to the court in this case. Also, reviewed the extensive history in this case. Of course, going to order a sentence of 15 years in the Missouri Department of Corrections on count 1 in this case for the voluntary manslaughter. On count 2, courts don't order life in the Department of Corrections in this case to run consecutive to count 1 in this matter. Mr. Hughes, I need to ask you some questions about your, if you'll raise your right hand, I'll let you sit there, that's fine. You solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in this cause to the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right. Have your attorneys done everything you asked? They done everything you asked them to do?
Yes, I'm aware that there's a Form 40 that I have the right to file, and at that time there will be counsel, post-conviction counsel assigned to me, and I have the right to discuss this with them at that time.
Okay. Have your attorneys done everything you got here? They done everything you asked?
I will discuss this with my post-conviction counsel only, not with you.
Okay. Now, this is your time to tell me about all this, so this is, I'm sure you've gotten advice. Is that what
I admire your attempts to foil my appeals, but no thank you, sir. I do not feel like discussing this.
So, have they done everything you asked them to do? Did they refuse?
Are you my post-conviction counsel?
Did you?
Mr. Hughes is not going to answer any questions.
Well, I want to make sure he understands. I'm asking him now, so this is the time. So, has the attorneys refused to do anything you asked them to do?
I'm not going to answer any more questions. Thank you, sir.
All right. And have you had an opportunity to talk to them about your case? And again, you're indicating you're not going to respond to any of my questions. Again, have you been able to talk to them about your case over the last, I think, 4 years?
What do you think?
Oh, I'm asking you that question. And then again, you understand that I'm asking you these questions because this is the time in which we're getting to this. You understand that you do have a right to a Form 40, correct? Right? You know that you're going to have the Form 40 given to you today, correct? And you understand that I'm going to hand you a 2915, the Rule 2915 in this case. Additionally, I want to make sure that you understand and make sure you're telling me you're not going to respond, but that's okay. I just need to know, and I'm putting it out there. You don't have to respond if you don't want to. You understand that your attorneys here today, they've represented you through the trial, and they've done what you asked them to do. Have they refused to do anything you asked them to do? Have you had ample opportunity to talk to you about the case? I'm asking all these questions. I know you can hear me because you responded earlier, so I'm making sure that you understand. I'm asking you these questions in regards to your representation. Correct? That's okay. Like I said, I'm making the record just like right here for you, so I'm just making sure. Now, you also have this Form 40 that you're going to be looking into. This is your motion to vacate, set aside, correct judgment for sentence. If you believe the sentence that I've just imposed violates the U.S. Constitution, state constitution, the state of Missouri, the state statutes of the state of Missouri, or you believe this court's without jurisdiction to impose this sentence, you have to put those grounds and all other grounds in that Form 40. The Rule 2915 will provide you the timeline in which you're supposed to file that Form 40. In this case, your attorneys have indicated that they're going to appeal, which I guess you're going to file that notice of appeal?
Yes, that will be filed.
Okay, and so that way you'll know when the Court of Appeals mandate comes down. That way you'll have your timeline for that, and then that Rule 2915 that I'm going to hand to you, and the rule and the Form 40 I'm going to hand to you. That way you have that in your possession, and I'm handing it to you. It looks like Ms. Hastings has got it, and she's going to, I guess, give that to you, since I want to make sure that you have that in your possession with regards to this case, okay?
The incident centers on Travis Rudolph. On April 7th, 2021, in Palm Beach County, Florida, Travis Rudolph attempted to take the lives of 4 people. After discovering the bodies, the police quickly connected Travis to the crime and filed charges against him. In court, the prosecutor detailed the horrific act to the jury, describing Travis Rudolph's heinous actions.
Gentlemen of the jury, good morning. A German poet back during the French Revolution once said that murder begins when
Overruled.
Start again. A German poet back in the French Revolution once said that murder begins when self-defense ends. Murder begins when self-defense ends. Now that was a simple sentence said many, many years ago, but that simple sentence perfectly encapsulates why this defendant right there, Travis Rudolph, is sitting in the chair that he's sitting in. The reason he's sitting in that chair is because just after midnight on April 7th, 2021, he took it upon himself to take out a semi-automatic rifle-like weapon, pursue 4 boys that were leaving the area of his home, and as those boys were trying to leave the situation that had occurred minutes before, this defendant used that and fired 39 times. 39 times into the car that they were in that was trying to leave. Ladies and gentlemen, the facts and the evidence are going to be clear by the time you get back into that room that he was not on defense. He was on offense. He was not under attack. He was on the attack, and that's exactly why he's in that chair. Now, as you already know, we've talked about it a lot. My name is Richard Clossy, and along with my co-counsel, Ms. Adrienne Ellis and Ms. Francine Edwards, we represent the state of Florida. And as has been discussed at length, and you all know already because we had many questions about it, we have the burden of proof. We have the burden of proof, this table right here. We have to prove to you beyond every reasonable doubt. We're going to keep bringing that up. Every reasonable doubt. Not possible doubts. Not speculative doubts. Not possible doubts, not imaginary doubts, not forced doubts. Reasonable doubts about what happened that night. And we embrace that burden. We embrace it. And we intend on meeting that burden for all 4 charges that this defendant is presented with here today. You all know what those 4 charges are. First-degree murder with a firearm for an individual by the name of Sebastian. And 3 counts of attempted murder. 3 counts of attempted murder for Tyler Robinson, Christopher Lowe, Tyler Robinson, Christopher Lowe, and Keyshawn Jones. Okay? Now, what do we have to prove today? Well, you're going to get jury instructions. Ms. Edwards has already talked about those jury instructions. I'm going to talk briefly about them again, but don't worry. You're going to get a packet like this when you go back into the jury. Okay? First degree murder, what do we have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt? So as I was saying, what we have to prove is Sebastian G. Jock is dead. Number 2, we have to prove that the reason he's dead is him right there. The unlawful act, the criminal act of this defendant. And the third thing we have to prove is their premeditated killing of Sebastian. Meaning, he thought about it before he did it. He thought about it before he did it. It wasn't involuntary, it wasn't an accident, it was purposeful because he meant to do it. Now what you'll also see in the jury instructions is that we also have to prove what type of weapon he used. And in this case, it's a firearm. You're going to learn all about that firearm during the course of this trial. Now when it comes to the 3 attempted first-degree murder counts, it's basically the same thing. We have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that he tried to kill Tyler, Chris, and Keyshawn. And that the only reason they're not dead is because he failed or someone else intervened. And then again, with that count, he meant to try to kill those 3 boys. And we're confident we're going to be able to do that, ladies and gentlemen. Now, as the judges mentioned, how are we going to? Well, we're going to bring in witnesses. We're going to bring in witnesses that know about what led up to this event and witnesses that came afterwards. Law enforcement, crime scene investigators, medical examiners, detectives, all of them that got involved after this defendant decided to take someone's life and almost take $3. So, we can't perfectly plan everything that happens in a trial. But what we can anticipate are the witnesses that are first going to testify and who comes afterwards. The first types of witnesses that you're going to hear from are people that know about why this occurred, how it occurred, what led up to it, and what happened that night outside of this defendant's home, where he lived with his mother and his older brother at 550 Teague Drive. For example, one of the first witnesses you're going to hear from is Keyshawn Jones, one of the victims in this case. He's going to give you the backstory. Now's not the time for me to give you the whole backstory. We're going to have plenty of days for you to listen to the actual people that can give you the backstory. But as a sum, in essence, what we're going to learn is that on April 6th, in the PM hours of that day, Keyshawn Jones learns from his sister.
Microphone.
Oh, my apologies.
Sorry. That works.
Right.
Yeah, if you want to do that.
Sounds good. That's right. We're going to learn that she talks to Keyshawn, who's her brother, and she informs him of a domestic dispute that had just occurred between this defendant and her. We're going to learn that Dominique, his sister, had been in a relationship with this defendant for about close to a year. Now, you're going to learn the details of that domestic dispute. But needless to say, once Keyshawn, her brother, finds out about what happened between her and Travis Rudolph earlier in the day, he's upset. His sister's upset. And once he tells his friends what had occurred earlier in that day, they get upset. We're not going to hide it, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to be able to see text messages and phone call logs and things like that. Dominique was upset with this defendant over what he did. Make no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Keyshawn was upset about what happened. Make no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And when they were upset, they talked in a way that was threatening. You're going to see text messages where Dominique says, go shoot his shit up. You're going to see a text message from Deshaun where he's like, Travis is a dead man, walking. But this is all before they actually get to Travis's house. And ladies and gentlemen, actions speak louder than words. They truly do. We talked about it during jury selection. Sometimes people say things they don't mean. And what's important in this case is not what was said and done before, right around midnight. It's what did happen right around midnight when Keyshawn, Tyler, Chris, and Sebastian decide to go to the defendant's house to confront him about what had just taken place earlier in the day with Dominique. Now, you're not going to just have to rely on people getting up and testifying to that fact. Because what we're going to learn through the law enforcement officers that got involved after the shooting took place is they started getting as many surveillance videos as they could from around the neighborhood, from anywhere that might be able to pick up information about why this all took place. And what we're going to be able to see, ladies and gentlemen, is just after midnight on April 7, 2021. Right here is 550 Teague Drive. This is the home of the defendant where he lived with his mom and his older brother, his mother's house. We're going to learn that in a black Cadillac, those four boys get into the neighborhood, and they park the car approximately down there. They park it away from the home and the front door of this defendant. You're going to be able to see surveillance video. This house right down here had multiple cameras, and you're going to literally be able to see the car park here. All of them get out of the car, all of them put stuff in their trunk, and all of them start walking in the direction of this house, which, from where they parked, is approximately 300 feet away, 100 yards away. Now, you're also, through the benefit of a Ring doorbell camera that was installed on 550 Teague Drive, you're going to be able to see video of those four boys coming up to the door and knocking and saying, hey, we got to talk to Travis out here about what happened. You're going to be able to see that. What you're not going to see, what you are not going to see, is a gun in any of their hands. You're not going to see that on that videotape, ladies and gentlemen.
We need ambulance. Where are you? We're on 40th Street, and I don't know, we're in North Lake, 40th Street, and
Broadway?
Broadway, yeah, 40th Street, Broadway.
What's going on?
We have someone who's at the DSW. He's not moving. Yes, he's not moving.
All right, let me get the next line. One moment.
Please hurry.
Yeah, I'm dropping it now.
This is Palm County Fire Rescue. What's the location of the emergency?
It's West Palm, 40th and Broadway's being mailed. He's not moving.
Do we know where he was? What part of his body?
I'm not sure. I can't tell. But he's not moving.
And he's the only one that's injured there?
He's the only one that... Yes, please.
Okay. We have help on the way to you. We're sending police and paramedics. And you say you can't tell where on his body he was shot, right?
I can't tell.
All right. And he's laying in the road Broadway or on 40th Street?
40th and Broadway. There's a gas station, abandoned auto park, something. 40th Street and Broadway.
Okay, again, is he on 40th Street or on Broadway?
We are on 40th Street and Broadway. It's the intersection. I hear police sirens.
Alrighty. West Palm will stage for you. Let us know when it's
All right, no problem, sir. Did you see the person who...
Travis Rudolph.
Sir, he pulled off?
No, his name is Travis Rudolph. He shot him.
Travis Rudolph at him?
Yes.
Okay, is he black, white, or Hispanic, Travis?
Black.
What was he wearing today?
I don't even know. He came out the house in no shirt.
Okay, what house does he live at? He lives at 40th and Broadway?
No, he lives in Northlake somewhere. I'm not sure.
Off like Northlake and up like past Riviera?
Like Lake Park, I don't know. Please, I think
Okay, well, I understand they're going to come help and the medics are en route as well, but you're saying Travis Rudolph shot him here, so was he in a car?
He shot him around his neighborhood. He came outside with the and at him. At us. He shot all of us.
Okay, but where did that happen? You guys drove to this location?
Yes, we were trying to get to the hospital, and we came down the street, and the car stopped working.
Okay, Northlake. Are you as well, sir?
I don't think I'm not sure.
Okay, do you know Travis's address?
No, I'm not sure.
Okay, so you guys were hanging out at his house, he came outside you guys, and you drove to this location?
We came to talk to him. He came outside trying to fight. We were trying to get to the car, and he went back into the house. Got it. Came outside. We were in the car driving away, and he started to shoot us.
Okay, now, how many other people are with you right now?
2, and my son who was with us, I don't know where he's at. We drove away as soon as he started shooting. Yes, please.
Okay, you see the police?
Yes, we see the police.
All right, go ahead and flag them down, okay?
We flag them down. Please. Right here. He's in the passenger. Please. Please. Oh my God, I love you, bro. I love you.
Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. The evidence is going to show that on April 6th of 2021, Dominique Jones, a woman scorned, set a series of events that ended in a tragedy and forced Travis Rudolph to act in self-defense. Her rage and jealousy set this entire thing in motion. That's what the evidence is going to show. You're going to hear that in 2021, Travis Rudolph was 26 years old at the time. He lived in Lake Park on 550 Teak Drive with his mother, Linda, and his brother, Daryl, who also goes by DJ Rudolph. You're going to hear that Travis's father was tragically killed several years ago while he was working. He was shot at a restaurant. And because of that, his mother, Linda, felt compelled to have security at the home. They bought a door ring bell camera. They bought a security system called a night owl. She was very fearful for her safety as a result of that incident. Her boys were there. They lived with her. Travis bought some firearms as a result of that for home protection. You're going to hear that he had a concealed weapons permit, that all the guns he owned were legal. There was nothing illegal about his firearms. He kept them in the home, primarily in his bedroom. He went to the range, he practiced, he was trained, he knew how to use these firearms, and never did. But this night he was forced to in order to save the life of himself and his brother. That's what the evidence is going to show. You're going to hear that on April 6th of 2021, well, let me step back for a moment. You've already heard some of this in jury selection, that Travis went to Cardinal Newman High School. He graduated. He went to FSU on a football scholarship. He was a standout receiver, both at Cardinal Newman and at FSU. You're going to hear that, and you've heard a little bit of this already, that he won the lottery when he got a contract with the NFL. He played with the Giants for a bit, and then he played for the Dolphins. His career with NFL was short-lived, unfortunately. When he was playing for Miami, he sustained a serious injury. His ACL was torn, and that basically put the end of his NFL career away. But that wasn't the end of it. He still wanted to play ball. That's his passion. He started training and rehabbing down in Miami. He was doing that for quite some time. During the time that he was in the NFL, he also met a woman by the name of Dominique Jones, the woman scorned, and they had been dating for about a year and a half. When he got injured, however, he and Dominique started falling out, and they decided that they were probably, on the outs, and they were going to break up. Another reason for that breakup was that Travis had gotten a contract with the Canadian League and was set to leave and go play with them the following month in May of 2021. And Dominique Jones knew that, so they were sort of on the outs. On April 6th, the day of this incident, you're going to hear this from Travis Rudolph, who's going to take the stand. You're going to hear this whole story from his mouth. You're going to hear that he was down in Miami training, as he had done every day for many, many months. He was down at the NFL facility training with a friend of his who played on the NFL. He got home late in the afternoon, went home. He and Dominique had been talking, they had been texting, and they decided that they were going to go to a movie that night. That was their big plan. They didn't pick out which movie or what time, but it was sometime probably around 9 o'clock that evening. Travis remained home, waited for Dominique to come over. You're going to hear that she arrived around 7 o'clock or so in the evening. When Dominique arrived there, Linda Rudolph, Travis's mom, was at Bible study at her sister's house. And DJ had just left a little bit before to go to the car wash to get his car detailed. Dominique came into the house, and immediately she told Travis, hey, I want to go to the liquor store to get a Patron bottle, a bottle of tequila. They drove to the liquor store. Dominique bought a bottle of Patron, and you're going to hear that they went back to the Rudolph residence. When they got back to the Rudolph's house, they played a card game called Uno. They did a couple of shots of tequila, and you're going to hear, this was taking place in Travis's bedroom in the home, and you're going to hear that DJ, Daryl, came home around 8:30 or so. When he got home, he asked Travis to step outside for a moment. He wanted him to look at his detailing of his car. He was dissatisfied with something, and he wanted to ask Travis a question. Travis left his cell phone in his bedroom with Dominique, and he stepped outside. When he came back in, that's when all hell broke loose. Dominique went into his phone without his permission. She sneaked around, scrolled through his text messages, and saw that he had been talking with a woman named Kyla and some other women who were merely friends. But it set her off. She became infuriated, enraged. She lost her mind. She became unhinged. Travis came back into the house. Before he could even do anything, she confronted him. And he said, she's just a friend, Kyla. She could not control her anger, her jealousy, her rage. She lost her mind. She picked up Travis's phone. She FaceTimed Kayla, turned the phone around, and said, talk to her. I want to watch your reaction while you talk to this woman. And he did. And they were talking as though nothing was wrong, and she could not control her rage. She took the cell phone, smashed it to the ground, and broke it, screaming, I'm sending my brother over to kill you. I'm sending my brother over to kill you. She then walked over to his dresser, where he had a whole bunch of football trophies and other football things, picked up a metal trophy, hit him over the head with the trophy in her rage. She then picked up his PlayStation, which was in his room, dragged it to the living room, smashed it there as well, in a rage. She was out of control, whole time screaming, I'm sending my brother over to kill you. I'm sending my brother over to kill you. What you're going to hear, though, ironically, is she was married throughout their entire relationship and never told this man this. She was married to a guy named Andre Kishang, or Kishang, I don't know how to pronounce it, but never told him for a year and a half that she was married, sneaking behind her husband's back. You're going to hear that Miss Jones.
Sustained. Go ahead.
You're going to hear that Miss Jones didn't get a divorce until 2 months after his arrest. You're going to hear that Dominique was so upset after she his personal items, she storms out of the house. And you're going to see with your own eyes her demeanor, her behavior, what she did, because it's all captured on the Ring video camera at the house. You're going to see her storm out of the house. You're going to see with your own eyes her attacking and beating up Travis. Travis is like this. He does nothing to retaliate. He does not touch her. He doesn't hit her. He tells her to calm down. But he's mad. He'll tell you that. He's mad. She broke his PlayStation, threw him over the head, broke his phone. So what does he do? He gets into her ear and he starts telling her, Kyla has a better body than you, she's better looking than you, and this sets her off even more. She storms out of the house. You're going to see on the video that she trips and falls. She had some recent cosmetic surgery, but she pops right back up. He did not touch her. She claims, and she's going to tell you, and has made prior statements, that he picked her up off her feet and slammed her to the ground 2 times. That's not what you're going to see. You're going to see him backing off, not doing anything as she pounds him and beats him up. He's in her ear saying Kyla has a better body, Kyla's better looking than you, and this just enrages her even more and more. You're going to see on the video that she storms back into the house to get her tequila bottle after she's allegedly to the ground 2 times. She forgot the bottle. So she runs back into the house to get her tequila bottle, goes back out the door, you'll see this on the video, and you're going to see Travis following her, and he's still in her ear talking about Kayla, and this infuriates her even more, that she takes the tequila bottle and knocks him over the head with the tequila bottle. At this point, DJ is now coming out, and he's involved, and he's trying to calm the situation down. And you're going to hear from DJ as well. He will tell you this occurred. She picks up a brick by the front house on the lawn near a palm tree, and she starts heading towards Travis's BMW truck, which was the first big purchase he made when he got his NFL contract. This is his most precious thing. He's no longer in the NFL. He doesn't have any more money. This is his pride and joy. And she takes the brick and she's walking towards the car, the truck, to smash the window. But DJ and Travis stop her and they take the brick from her hand.
Would you publish the verdict, please?
In the Circuit Court of the 15th Judicial Circuit, Criminal Division, in and for Palm Beach County, Florida, case number 21 CF 002938 A and B, Division W, State of Florida versus Travis Rudolph. Defendant, verdict. We, the jury, find as follows. As to count 1, we find the defendant not guilty. As to count 2, we find the defendant not guilty. As to count 3, we find the defendant not guilty. As to count 4, we find the defendant not guilty. So say we all, the 7th day of June, 2023, in West Palm Beach, County, Florida.
Would either side like to have? Would either side like to have the jury polled? All right, thank you, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. I, on behalf of everyone who is a participant in this trial, would like to thank you for your time and your consideration. I also wish to advise you of the special privileges enjoyed by jurors. In the absence of a court order, no juror can be required to talk about the discussion that occurred in the jury room. Our judicial system relies on juries for consideration of difficult cases. We recognize that a jury's deliberations, discussions, and votes should remain their private affair so long as they wish it. Therefore, the law gives you a unique privilege not to speak about the jury's work. The lawyers and their representatives are not permitted to initiate any communication with you about the trial. However, you may speak to the lawyers or anyone else about the trial if you wish. In the absence of a court order, you have the right to refuse to speak with anyone. A request may come from those who are simply curious or from those who might seek to find fault with you. It will be up to you to decide whether to preserve your privacy as a juror. I will add that I know that there has been a great deal of publication about this case. You need to keep that in mind. It's very possible you will be contacted by individuals. So keep those rights in mind that I just read to you. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm also now going to pass out to you letters identical to those which I've given your colleagues, the two alternate jurors whom I excused earlier in the afternoon, or I guess it was morning. I would encourage you, please, to take the time. It won't take you more than a minute or two, well, maybe 3 minutes, to fill out those questionnaires. I do, as I said before, I do take them very seriously. I look at them. I have made changes in the way in which I conduct jury trials and the manner in which I handle juries and jurors based on those responses to those questionnaires over time. So please take the time to fill those out and then throw them in the envelopes that have been pre-addressed and postage paid for you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, once again. I know it's been a long time, a long process, and I thank you very much for your time, consideration, and work. You are relieved. It seems to me there are a couple of things we need to address, but I may be mistaken about that, so I'll turn first to Mr. Shiner. Is there anything I need to address so far as your client is concerned?
I think the court just needs to, I think the verdict was announced, so I think the court just needs to make sure the clerk documents it.
Okay, well, that will be done. You will, of course, yeah. All right, that's already done, as a matter of fact. That's what I was thinking about.
I'd ask him. I don't know how he gets off house arrest, but...
Let me talk to the state about that.
Yeah, Judge, at this time, he would be released from house arrest.
Right.
Based on the verdict.
Okay, so he is not physically in custody of the sheriff's department, and that would be a different procedure. Now that he is on in-house arrest, do you know how he is taken off the monitor?
Judge, he would just need to contact whoever he's been reporting to.
Okay.
Judge,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
He would just need to contact whoever he's reporting to, whoever he set up the in-house arrest with, and they would, either him or Mr. China, have the ankle bracelet removed.
And Judge, I've had in the past the situation happen and judges awarded the deputies in the courtroom to cut it off.
I will not do that. All right, but I will authorize you immediately. Get on your cell phone right now if you want and contact whomever it is that's responsible for that and tell them that I have ordered that his monitor be removed.
Yes, sir.
All right, anything else from either side?
Judge, I'm going to file a motion. It's not appropriate to do it now to return property, so I'll file that motion.
All right, very well. Anything else?
Is all the evidence to be returned to the party?
No. The evidence is going to be kept by the clerk's office until such time as a motion is filed, particularly with respect to firearms. All right? All right, thank you. Anything else? Okay, thank you. Stay calm, everyone. Stay calm. And more importantly, stay safe.
Big thanks to our viewers for joining the courtroom journey with us. Your interest in the stories of justice is what keeps our channel alive.